Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be teaching you visibility. So visibility simply means the different ways a contract function can be accessed. So basically in Solidity we have different types of visibility. We have public, we have private, we have internal, and we have external. So what do each of these mean? So basically with public, a function that is public can actually be accessed both within and outside of that particular class or that contract. I don't know why I'm calling it class. So yeah, and then for private, you can only access it within that particular contract. Internal can also be accessed within the contract. And external can be accessed anywhere outside of the contract. So yeah, let us see them in action. So to handle this, I'm going to bring in previous code like what we did in inheritance here, because there are some things that we pretty much want to play around with, especially with the visibility. So yeah, I'm going to make use of this code here and we're going to be modifying it. Okay, so what do we have here? So this is what we did in the inheritance class, in the inheritance section, and we created a private contract and a child contract. So for the purpose of us understanding what's happening here, I am going to change some of this visibility to play around with all the available visibility. Let us see if we can access the functions that are created in the parent's contract inside the child contract. So first of all, we have public, we can leave that, and then here we can change it to private, and here we can change it to internal. I will go back and check what the error is. So let's create another function and call it get another name, and I'm going to call this external. All right, so let's see what the error is here. Virtual and private cannot be used together. Okay, so in other words, they are simply telling us that we cannot use private and virtual at the same time. Remember what I told you in previous video when I was explaining inheritance and how you make use of virtual and all of that. So basically, if you want a contract function to be accessible, or to be able for you to be able to use it in another contract, you need to add that virtual to it. If not, otherwise you won't be able to access that particular function. So that also makes sense, because private is something that is private to that class. That means it can only be accessed within this parent class. We can't access it outside of the parent class. So therefore, giving it private and at the same time saying that we want to be able to access this function in another class by adding that virtual to it, or in another contract by adding the virtual to it, it doesn't really make sense. So I believe that's why we can't really use it. So we can only use private I could just create this simple function and then I can call it private. This time around I'm not going to add the virtual to it, so I can do pure returns string memory. So yeah, so I just want to return a string and say this is private. All right, so this is fine. We're having some errors here, so let's check. Overriding function visibility differs. So let's see where that is coming from. Okay, yeah, so this is this is it. So this is just us trying to understand how this visibility actually works. So let's just take it step by step. For this first function, set name, we are also overriding it here, and it's public, and we don't have an issue. And then for this other name, get contract name, is it public here? Yeah, okay, it's public, so we still don't have an issue here. And then for this get name is internal, and here we are overriding and saying it's public, so let's use internal. So it's internal, we don't have an issue. So basically, whatever visibility a function has in the parent contract, that should also be the visibility for the other place where you're overriding it. So basically, as you can see, previously we left it as public, meanwhile we have already changed it here as internal. So because of that, we're having an error. So we have this one error left. So get another name. Here it is external, and we are saying it's public here. So let's change it to external. So now external did not solve this problem. So let's find out why. All right, if you take a look at this, you see that overriding function is missing override. All right, so basically now the reason for this is we want to override this get name, and then there's no override here. So initially when we created this in previous video, we were just creating a normal function. We are not really overriding it. So let me call it 1 and change this back to public the way it was. So let's override it, this exact function, and see how that goes. So I'm going to copy this function name and put it here. So this is giving error because it's showing internal. So let's change to external. So we are good. So basically, the only function that we couldn't access in this child class or in this child contract is a private function. So other functions, we're able to override them and access them. Yeah, we're able to override them. So now let's deploy this contract and see if they appear here. So basically, any of the functions that show in this our deployed function are the functions that we can actually see and access or interact with. Okay, now if you take a look, you notice that the public function set name, we can see it is accessible, and then the get another is also public, we can see it here, and this get another here is also public, that's why we can see it here. Yeah, so this gets another one, and this the other gets another. All right, these two get another. Then this gets contract name, we can see it because it's public. So basically, we are just seeing all the public and external function. We can't even see the private and internal. So we can't access the internal, we can't interact with the internal, we can only use it within the contract. So we can't interact with it outside of the contracts that is even overriding it. So that's what is happening right now. So guys, I hope you have understood the different visibility types, private, public, internal, and external. If you still have any questions, please drop it in the comment section and I will be right there to answer. And please do to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.